It feels like my very being, that the power of movement to express something that really can be expressed in no other way. I have had a long career as a dancer. I began as a child and I have actually danced my entire life. When I turned 18, I moved from Chicago to New York City to be a professional, and I just began studying dance. And throughout that time, I also was introduced to the exciting world of modern dance. I had been trained classically as a ballet dancer and then came to New York, and the first job I got was in the modern world. And a whole wonderful world of concepts and new ideas opened up for me. I am working on a new work called Into Sunlight. When we went into Iraq over 8 years ago now, I felt such a sadness and felt like I had to speak. I had to do something as an artist. I really couldn't believe that we were choosing violence again as a means of solving conflicts. My process as an artist is very contemplative, actually. So the world of the imagination is really where I begin. And the physicality emerges out of how I'm being led forth in a way by an image. Now they'll start to blend all of them, rocking a little bit slower, and this one go off again and get all beat. At the same time, as I was embarking upon this idea, David Maraniss' new book on the Vietnam War called They Marched into Sunlight came out. It was a powerful book, and I felt had so many parallels to what was going on in this time that I asked David if I could use his book as the template for my dance. The act of making dance is a very intimate process. It is a very collaborative endeavor, whether I come in and say, do this phrase of movement, or whether I come in and say, let's see what's emerging from all of us, whether it's very directive or more improvisatory. And it takes a look at what was going on in Vietnam, at the University of Wisconsin at Madison, and in Washington, D.C. It's a very dramatic telling of the soldiers in Vietnam feeling called to do what was asked of them in the very difficult situation they were in. And actually, on that day, they walked into a terrible ambush, and half the soldiers of the battalion were killed on that day. So David Maraniss, the author, got to know the family members of the soldiers who died that day and the few surviving soldiers. And he also got to know the Viet Cong commander who engineered this ambush and what was going on in his life and what his history was. So it's very compelling when you see all of these people from different walks of life doing the best they can and really kind of fulfilling their destiny in a way. And then you go to the University of Wisconsin at Madison on the same day, where students were really actively engaged in a protest against the war and had staged what was supposed to be a peaceful demonstration against Dow Chemical, who made those weapons of napalm and Agent Orange, and they did not want Dow Chemical to come to campus to recruit students since they were making these horrible weapons. So the demonstration kind of got out of control, and the police were called in, and it was just reading about this, you feel like you're back in Vietnam when you see the intensity of that struggle and the passions of the administration, the students, the policemen. We are now working primarily in New York, and we're doing 2 showings at the 92nd Street Y.
I don't know where it might be easier to put.
That's us.
So, welcome, everyone. I'm really delighted to welcome you all and to share really this birth of this project that has been in the works for quite a long time. My hope that people are touched at a heart level. And I'm someone who really believes that the role of art is to help us experience a broader scope of who we are as human beings. And it's my hope that seeing this dance will make people feel more deeply and perhaps initiate a thinking process that might be new to them. And of course, we never know, but the circle of communication, all of us who are artists are doing it because we have something to share. And so it's my hope that that's met with a receptivity and a level of feeling from which this is all born. Yes, a whole year has gone by, and I'm actually feeling a lot of gratitude for what unfolded with the project. We did premiere the dance at the University of Wisconsin at Madison, and then we came to Hofstra University for a series of many performances. And at both universities, the dance was really the centerpiece of an interdisciplinary conference that was very interactive with veterans groups, and the overall purpose of these conferences was really to look at the impact of so much war and violence in our time, and how this continues through, we just continue to keep making these choices of solving conflicts in this century with war. So it wound up being very interesting conferences, and the role of the arts was also a large part of it. And the response by the press to the dance was very positive. And then we did a full showing of the work in New York City at the 92nd Street Y. And our wonderful news is that we'll be going to Georgetown University in January of next year and are getting invitations to bring this work to new venues, which is really touches me deeply, as it was my hope that kind of the larger message of the work might inspire an outreach to more communities.